Well, Graham, good to see you again.
Hi, mate.
I'll start with Saturday's game. Obviously, a defeat for your side. How have you, as a group, reflected on it? Have you moved on quite quickly from Saturday?
Yeah, as I said right after the game, really, I thought the performance levels were right up there. Obviously disappointed with the goal that's put us on the back foot, but the performance from that point was everything we wanted, apart from the finishing, the end product and scoring from the numerous opportunities we had. So, and then on Monday we just cracked on with work about building up towards the weekend. I think there's no point in dragging it around. We're out of the cup, which we're disappointed with, but we've slowly fed back over the last 2 or 3 days. The sort of data, the shots, the crosses, the final third entries, all that sort of thing, which some of the highest for 5 years. Sometimes it's just not your day and you can't burst the door down, but it wasn't through lack of trying, lack of effort. Every player put a lot into it, but we just couldn't find that finishing touch.
I don't want to labour the point too greatly, but obviously the nature of their goal, there was a lot of controversy around it. We didn't get the chance to speak with you after the game as well. Has there been any further communication between yourself, the football club, the Referees Association? Where do we stand at the moment in regards to what happened in that?
No, we just asked for a bit of feedback, through the official line. So we're waiting for that feedback to come back. You're asked to, if you want to fill in a report and or ask questions from the assessor and stuff like that. So we've done that just to get clarity on it. Really, we can't replay the game. We can't win that game back. So we have to put it to bed and move on. But if there's anything for us to learn from it, I think it's important for us to try. And go forward from there. So until we get that actual official feedback about how other people saw it, I don't think we can really sort of do anything about it, really, to be honest. So I think we've got to understand what we can control going forward. I think it was a difficult scenario, I thought, for everybody. There was confusion all around, and sometimes in the heat of the moment for everybody, and I mean the officials and supporters, players, staff, the right way could get lost in the sort of moment. So we've moved on from it. I think we have to focus on Saturday's game. But if there's any confusion going forward, we just have to play all the way through or something. I don't know. Yeah. So we'll wait for the official feedback.
Okay. And just finally, what does it mean for yourself? Are you on the touchline Saturday? Do you have a ban? How does that work out?
I'm not sure yet. Because we're waiting to hear from that. So. Listen, I know if I want to speak to the referee, I should wait until we're indoors. So it's completely on me for wanting to speak to him straight after the final whistle. I should have followed the procedures and just waited until indoors. So I can't blame anyone for that.
Yeah. Focusing on the game, then, as you said, you created so many chances, and another day some of those might have gone in. Because of the nature of that, and I asked Sam Walker a similar question. Do you look at that too forensically, or are you mindful of the nature of the game, the situation of the game, and how it unfolded?
Well, there's two things, right? I'm really happy that we created that many chances. I think I was really happy from where we got those opportunities from. It wasn't like 30-yard shots. It became that towards the end of the game because the nature of the opponent sitting right in, basically the whole team in the box. It's really difficult, massive teams have struggled with that sort of tactic at that stage. Certainly in the first half, though, while the game was still reasonably open, we created really good chances. And as I always say, the biggest thing is continue to get in there. So I know Cookie had 8 shots, or at goal. Tyreek had 6, and we still had another 14 on top of that throughout the team. With Tyreek, he's hit the target 3 times. He's had 3 blocked. So it's not like he's blazing shots over. So for me, that's a positive. I know we all want to score and get it over the line, but getting in that many opportunities from inside the box is really good for our build-up and our phases of play. Sometimes it just doesn't go in, or the keeper has an inspired day and stuff like that. So for me, what we've shown, we're obviously the result is the first port of call where we're disappointed with it. But then you look at performance and. When you lose a game, have you tried everything you can to win it? 100% we did. that's it for me. That's all I ask for the players. You know what I mean? I'll be honest. I was more angry after the Stevenage game when we took a point away to a team who had won every game, because I saw a lull in our play and a lull in our approach. I didn't see that last week, so I'm not going to reproach the players on that score.
Yeah, Sam said to us that on Monday morning the message on the notice board read, I think it was 11-6-3, your record so far this season, only 3 defeats in all the games that you've played. And I suppose that's the important factor, isn't it, of just being level of what you've achieved so far this season and where you're at as a team.
Yeah, I think I didn't have to have a meeting. I think they just seal the numbers and that's it. We're a good team. I think a couple of lads thought it was the date. So I think they were put in the clear by a couple of other players. Though no, that's our record this season. So, but yeah, I just think it's always important to keep context and stuff like that. So I think obviously we're disappointed with the result, but performance and all that sort of thing, and what we've done so far this season, there's lots to be positive about. And I'm big on just believing ourselves and looking at the challenge ahead. We can't win that game; it's gone now. We can only win the next one, so that's what we have to focus on. Saturday
felt like a really big step forward for Andy Cook to get that full 90 minutes under his belt. How's he reacted and responded to that?
Yeah, I think it's a big bonus for him. I think he's obviously we've nursed him back conservatively, I would say. To make sure he stays ticking boxes going forward. Any significant knockback for him now would be a big negative. So, and to be honest, I didn't plan to have him on the pitch for the whole game. We were thinking 60, 70 minutes if we could, but the nature of the game became so one-sided. We obviously needed a goal. We were getting lots of entries into the box, and it wasn't like it was end to end where he'd have to go and press the ball and get back into our half. It was basically, it turned into an attacking session for the last 20-25 minutes. So I don't think it was going to stretch him too far physically. So and put him under risk. So it was. I think he felt maybe the effects of the game on Monday and Tuesday or Sunday as well, which I would expect. It'd be weird if he didn't. But he's been out on the training pitch with us again today, and he's ready to go forward. So it was really good to have him back. To compete with all the other strikers we have. And
how did everyone else come through Saturday? How are you looking going into the next game?
Yeah, everyone came through the game unscathed physically, so they've trained this week. So we're in a relatively good place. I don't think there's many coming back into the squad, but we've got good numbers going down there because obviously we had 9 subs as well on the bench on Saturday. So we had a good 20-man squad, which we have still intact for this week. So we're in a good place for that, and I think the focus that we've had in the last 2 or 3 days, I think has really directed the players' minds towards Saturday's game and the challenge we have.
Will Antoni be available for you?
We're waiting to see that. He's touch and go, to be honest, so we're waiting to see if he can be involved on Friday. He's done a little bit today, but we just have to wait and see. Because there was the plan was after the Lincoln game anyway to not have him involved at the weekend anyway, but he picked something up after the game on Tuesday. So nothing major, but certainly puts him in doubt for the weekend.
Okay, and a similar question for Bobby Pointon as well.
Yeah, Bobby the same really. We're just assessing him. He's had a couple of sessions where there's a bit of contact, so that's good. He's not had any repercussions from that. So, but we just have to make sure that the players are right to fully commit and then stay committed. I don't really want to use players for coming for one game and then miss another 2 or 3 weeks. You just end up chasing yourself for the rest of the season. There's no positive at this stage of the season anyway in doing that.
Yeah. This next question might be subject to the nature of the game on Saturday, but Stephen Humphreys came on and we saw him play on the left of that front three for a period of time.
Yeah.
I know we've spoken in the past about Stephen's position and whatnot. Was that because of the nature of the game and wanting to go all out attack, or is that something that you were looking at and just observing to see how that unfolded?
No, that just happened because of the nature of the game. I think there was no spacing behind them. No opportunities to get in behind their back line. So it was more all in front, and then we wanted to get people on who we thought could actually do that 1v1, get behind people and that. And the centre of the pitch was absolutely chocker, to be honest. So we just thought bringing him and Swanee off the sides of Cookie would, enable us to do that. So, I like the fact, apart from probably Cookie, who is a 9, I think all the other players can play in those 3 positions, and we've done that with a specific reason of having those options depending on the type of game, who we have available, all that sort of thing, that we can have players that can go and fill those spaces and give us a goal threat. So it wasn't something I was thinking about before the game. It just how the game panned out. It was like, let's get 3 strikers on there, but just working those spaces on the outside if we could. But he had a couple of shots, but they were defended well. I think he had 2 or 3 around him when he was letting fly. So unfortunately, he didn't break the deadlock.
Yeah. Burton for you next then, led by Gary Bowyer, of course, as well. They've had some really good away results so far this season. How are you viewing them as opposition?
Yeah, good team, good manager. I know Gary played against him a few times, and so look, they've had a good result. Say at the end, they obviously probably disappointed with how it finished, but they've picked up, like you say, some really good wins away from home. You look at their squad; it's a good squad. It's got all the elements that you need to win games at this level. So, we understand the challenge ahead. I think we have to maintain what we did last week. I think we'll probably have to defend a little bit more than we had to do last week because of the nature of the game. Look, we're back at Valley Parade. We want to perform at the best level we can, and we have the utmost respect for every opponent we play against. Last week, next week, whenever it is, it's important we always have that humility to understand that if we don't do our things right and don't get our A game going, then we're susceptible to poor results. But the players have shown, certainly on Saturday and this week, that they're ready to compete at the highest level again.
That's a great. Thank you.
Cheers, Jimmy.
With the number of games you've got coming up and the fact of the injuries and what have you, the recruitment and the strength and depth you've got is really starting to show its value now.
I believe so. I think when you look at last week, for instance, I think we made maybe 8 changes to the team that started the 4 days before in the league to make sure we had those energy levels really high, which we did, and we obviously dominated the game. But we were actually adding, I think, 400 or 500 games to that team from Tuesday, in experience and know-how. So we don't believe we have an A and a B team. We just have a real good group of players where we've got players that can tick loads of boxes, compete with each other. We just had a small 11v11 there, and as I said before, I think you can play them against each other, and you don't see which team will win or get on top, because you can't pick between them. So we have to maintain that as long as possible because we need them all. We need them all. We've already proved that. I mean, I can't believe we've played 20 games already. I can't believe that, to be honest. It seems like the season's just started, but we're 20 games in, and we've still got a good depth of squad available to us. So hopefully we can maintain that because we've obviously got another 30 odd to go.
And that sort of dichotomy there of 20 games in but a long way still to go is one of the key things that don't get carried away with where you are in the league at this stage.
No. I think, look, the players know us by now, and I think I know the players. There's no lads there thinking too far ahead. I know in their language, how they talk, how they behave. There's no one getting ahead of themselves. The league is very tight. We're just happy that we continue to add to our points tally. That's the main thing. The position in the table is not so important right now. It's just so we can't get into that sort of that mentality where we're sort of dipping for the line, in November. It's not that. We just have to make sure that every week or as often as possible our points tally goes up that way. And if we keep doing that, then I believe we'll be in a good place, April, May. But so we just have to focus on the game in front of us. And I think we lead that as a staff, not just me, but all of my staff. But certainly we've got the right pros and characters in that changing room to do that as well. So it's I fully trust them to keep their heads on what's needed. Okay.
Graham, you mentioned to Jamie that it's kind of on you. You wish you'd handled maybe things a bit better with the ref on Saturday, but it just feel like whenever as an outsider you're watching games, mine just can't really have that dialogue with referees. If it's any dissent, right, it's a yellow card, that's a red card. Do you feel that there needs to be that channel where it can be a more fair and open conversation between managers and referees when there's a decision that's maybe gone against you?
Well, I think there is in place already, but it's not on the pitch or during the game. So, I know that. So and I had no intention of talking to him, but I always go onto the pitch to shake all the officials' hands, regardless of the scoreline. And I just couldn't keep my mouth shut for 5 seconds. So it's, I should have waited the 30 minutes, gone in and seen him and the assessor and asked my questions that I wanted to ask. So, so there is channels of communication. And it's probably right that it's with a bit of breathing space in between the final whistle and the game. So it's something that I have tried to correct. It's over the last 5 or 6 months because there's nothing to gain from it, and I want to show the right levels of respect to the officials and how tough their job is. But listen, we're human beings, and I make mistakes as much as anybody else. So. But the first thing I do when it is the cold light of day, I assess my own behaviour, I assess the team's behaviour, and if we can improve that, then that's got to be our focus.
Whenever that touchline ban is, or when it's announced, what does that look like for you and your coaching staff? How will you approach those games on the sidelines when you're not the sort of man on the touchline?
Just the same as we have done in the past, because I actually made a choice in the season before to go and do that, to have a more overall picture of the game and stuff like that. So we worked well there. We just with you can communicate across the world in a split second nowadays. So 500 yards down to the side of the pitch is no problem. But so it's every club, every manager has gone through that if that's the case. But I just want to focus on the game that's in front of us and not the one that's just passed.
Chris spoke to Simon a bit after the game about Andy and talked about a bit with Jamie. I guess there's probably a bit of nerves. It's a huge ask for a 34-year-old to come through his first start in 10 months and play 90 minutes and do what he did. Just how relieved were you that he came through that, and how proud were you that he was able to sort of come through that?
It's nothing to do with his age. It's nothing to do with his age. If it was a 22-year-old who had missed 10 months, not played a game, we'd have the same concerns. So it's nothing to do with that. Cookie's really looked after himself in the 10 months that he's been out from actually playing, but he's been training quite a long time. He's had a sustained period of physically preparing himself right through the summer while we weren't training. So it's just, but there's always a risk factor when players have been out for so long, and it's not necessarily their injury that they've recovered from. It's more their body in other ways, because their muscles have not been worked for 90 minutes in a game scenario. So it's the same when we bring players back from a 6-7 week summer. We don't go hell for leather from day one because they haven't been doing that sort of stuff. So 10 months is obviously a significant amount of time, but I'm really pleased that Cookie's come back, scored goals off the bench, now played his first 90 minutes. It's just about ticking those boxes and continue to ticking them off. It doesn't mean he's like, that's him now, 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90 minutes. But we just have to assess how he is from game to game and then make the judgment call from there.
In the league, you've hit that little run of draws, which is certainly better than losing games, but is there just a tiny little thing missing that's not turning those into wins, or are you going to get little runs like that in the season? Or does it very much change from game to game, a certain draw? All right, we played pretty well, just didn't get it. That one, or we should have done better in that game.
Yeah, I think we tried to separate the games from themselves, and not just bunch them up. But I think the element is we haven't scored more than the opponent. That's the reality. We've had. I think those at least 2 or 3 of those games could have been 1-0 to us, could have been 1-0 to the opponent, could have been a draw. I don't think there were games that we completely dominated. I don't think there was any games that the opponent did. But that's the level, that's the margins that we work at. And at the start of the season, we were on the right end of those margins and then increased them by being in the lead. We talk about adding to the points tally rather than, we're on this run with this run. I don't do that. It's about making sure that number keeps going on forward, and that's what we've done. I think we're a team that's very difficult to beat, as our record suggests. If you look at all 4 leagues in England, and we would love to have 1 or 2 more wins from the just recent past. But over the course of the 14 league games that we've had, we're really happy with our record so far. So I don't want the players boxing off a group of games. We've got 1 game in front of us, and that's the only game we can impact on. So that's what we have to try and do.
You're going into that game in front of you, back at Valley Parade against Burton. It's a remarkable run you've been on this season and in the calendar year at Valley Parade. Just how much confidence is sort of coursing through the players when they go out on the pitch at Valley Parade at the moment?
I think it's confidence. I think it's excitement. I think they look forward to the games. I think the atmosphere inside Valley Parade is amazing on match days. I think the support, the backing we get, I think it's a real good place for the players to be mentally going out into those games. And I think when we have difficult spells in those games, the supporters are consistently with us. They're consistently patient. They're encouraging. They're behind us. They can see the effort from the players. They know they're good players because they've already proved that time and time again. So there's a real understanding of the challenges we have, but the challenges will be different as we go through the season. And I think we've seen that certainly in the last couple of home games, especially, that I think there's a deeper respect now in this league for what we've been doing, and then that causes different issues to fix. So that's what we have to be adaptable to without losing what we are as a team. And but yeah, it's always a pleasure and a privilege to come out of Valley Parade, and I get the same buzz as the players do, but they're the lucky ones that get to kick the ball about. You
said there, Graham, you've got good players, but I thought it was notable when I saw you and Josh yesterday. Josh was really engaged with the veterans.
Yeah.
He came and spoke to everyone, myself, all sorts of people, and it just was a really nice thing. And how important is it for you that you've not just got a squad of good players, you've got a squad of good people as well?
I think it's just as important, honestly, because it's just being good technically is not enough, because the challenges that come your way as an individual and as a club, consistent, because everyone wants to beat you. That's the nature of the game. And when you have difficult moments, that's when the character and the personality of the group as a whole comes through. And if you've got good character, they haven't got to be all the same, but as long as they all join in and make sure they back each other up, and I think that we've got that. I think there's a lot of humility throughout our group, and we understand that we're normal people. I know we've got a great job as being footballers, but we're normal people. We come from normal families. I think it's important that we have that communication with our fan base, with anyone that comes our way. So fans that come down just to watch us training, we invite them to jump over the fence, take a picture with the squad, whatever. I think it's important to have that, and I think the players enjoy it, to be honest. I think it's a better environment to come into every day.
Cheers, Graham.
Graham, it's your second year anniversary this week. It probably feels like a lot longer, I would imagine. Huge amount of progress has been made, but in every answer you've given, you've sort of touched on the mentality of the group. I just wonder how important a foundation that has been to allow everything else to flourish.
It's everything. It's everything. There's good players all over the country. There's fit players all over the country. And there's good organisation all over the country. The game and life is in your head. I'm telling you, if your head's not right, if your head's not on what the game is about, what life's about, then you've got no chance. I'm telling you, because challenges come up to all of us, all our way, and it's how you handle those things. So no one should feel sorry for themselves when it happens to them. Us in football, I'm talking about, because it happens to everybody. So just understand what it is, and I think we support each other, we push each other. There's friction sometimes, there's conflict, but we encourage that in a way, or we put that in context of, that's what life is about, but there's a trust there. It cracks me when there's a discussion between two players, or a manager and a player, and then everyone questions the relationship. And I've been married for nearly 30 years. I'm telling you now, I've had a couple of arguments with my missus along the way, but I still love her. She loves me, hopefully, so, but that's it, it's this myth of everyone getting along on every minute of the day. I think it's false. I think that means people are holding things back. I think when we can be honest with each other and then just shake each other down and walk on and then work together and then run together and win together, that's when you get a proper bond. And I think we've got that within the squad. I think we've got within the staff. We've got it with the fan base. But we can be honest with each other, I think, and I think that's the biggest thing. I think it overcomes other things. You know what I mean? So I felt that as a player. I felt I wasn't at a level that could compete with other players on a physical level or on something like that. But I thought if I had a stronger mentality, if I wanted it more than everybody else, then that would enable me to win and be successful. And I want to instill that in the players. I think we try to look for players that will bring it with them as well. So it's not just from me and my staff, it's actually the players bring it. But I like it. I like that side of the game. I love that side of the game actually, and in life as well, because we all go through it. You know what I mean? It's we've all got people we have to get on with, work with, have relationships with, and I think if we can sort this out, I think it's a good place to be.
We were talking to Sam earlier. It's such an emotional football club, and we kind of, I don't know, sometimes use that phrase as though it's a negative thing, but you seem as a group to have done very well at using the best of that. Hence your home record. Yeah,
I believe so. I think you're right. I think football's an emotional game, and every club has its history, whether it's consistently winning or consistently not, or up and down. Which I think you look at Bradford the last 20 years or 25 years, it's had real high highs and real lows. So I think that fan base will reflect that. But we're emotional. That's what, just talking about last week, I was emotional at the end of the game because my team had lost, you know what I mean? And then 2 hours later, what am I doing? I'm getting told off my wife for walking on, you know what I mean? I go, I know, but there's some things that are just in us, aren't they? Yeah. And but I like that side of it, you know what I mean? That's why if two players have an argument, I go, okay, that's fine for 10 seconds, for 20 seconds. Is it for 2 days? No, it shouldn't be for that. So that's how it is. And I think I like emotion because I think it can get you out of holes. You know what I mean? When it's all against you. It's all right having a theory, but if you haven't got the blood pumping through your veins and a determination or an anger or something, a desire, that's all emotions. It's not going to follow through. So sometimes that emotion is good. Emotional control is good. The other side of it gets you into trouble. So we have to try and get better than that, and I'm trying to lead that way.
And just looking back to 2 years ago, obviously with your career, anyone who's managed or played in League One or League Two level knows what a big club this club is. Yeah. But once you're actually inside it, is it even bigger than you thought it was in some respects?
I think I realised that probably halfway through last season. I think when we started to make inroads into what was possible. Yeah. I think more and more people started to believe in it, and then the crowds got bigger, and the crowds got, and it was just a much more of a spotlight on our potential. I think that's when I realised what we could potentially get going if we could get over the line last season and get the ball rolling, sort of thing. So I 100%. I think I've played against Bradford as a player and as a manager, so I knew of the sort of the stature, but only after. I would say halfway through last season when I realised the potential, because of the size, the fan base, and the passion that the fan base have for the club. So it's been really rewarding so far. Like say 2 years, it has absolutely flown by. I can't believe it. I still feel like a new manager, if that makes sense. But I quite like that I feel like that, because football isn't a grind. It isn't. It's a great opportunity for all of us. And I enjoy every single day. I've been incredibly fortunate for 2 years to work with so many good people.
And by the same token, to just sort of have that light bulb moment about the potential again, it's exciting. It's a lift, isn't it?
Yeah, it is definitely 100%, without a doubt. I think there was a couple of games when we put on offers to the supporters to bring more in, and then you see it full and you can feel it on the back of your neck, and then you win, which obviously encourages them to come back the week after or 2 weeks after that, and then we just got the ball rolling. Club record, home wins, all that sort of thing. It's just that it's a great place to be, but we also understand how much work you have to do under the waterline to make that happen, then to maintain it, but still have the understanding that we're going to get a punch on the nose every now and then. As I always say, it's important you just get back up and face forward and take the fight on. And I think us as a club have done that exceptionally well over the last 2 years.
And I mean, just to my mind, Walsall was sort of end of January, wasn't it? That was felt like a big game for the team and the club. Yeah. Was that sort of period?
Potentially, yeah, I think so. Because obviously, I think they'd won their previous 9 on the bounce and 18 unbeaten or something. And to be fair, we did well that day. It was, I think, 3-0. So it was a proper statement, I thought, but we had to back that up, and we did do that. But I think that's when everyone started to believe that we had real potential. So, and we've already started this season with some big wins like that against big opponents and big clubs, home and away. But listen, what we've done previous to Saturday is not going to win us the points on Saturday. We just have to keep going, and I think we got the right people to keep doing that.
And as you know only too well, football management, it's very transitionary in terms of you're not often a long time in a place, but it seems like you feel a real connection and a buy-in personally to this football club.
Yeah, but I believe I've done that with the other clubs that I've worked for. I really do. I think I've committed to my jobs exceptionally hard. So it's I think I've been brought in by the Bradford family here over the 2 years. I think I feel the connection more from them bringing me in than the other way around. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what I definitely feel in my bones and how people speak with me and speak to me. But I also know the game's about results and we have to keep winning. So you know what I mean? I don't take anything for granted. I understand the bigger picture in the world of football and life. So I don't expect anything, but I'm grateful for everything I get. And so that's been my case so far, and I'm sure obviously Chris, I think, feels the same. You know, because came at the same time. And I know the players feel like that as well because it's been good so far. But let's keep going forward.